Welcome to a series of online discussions that we are calling Countering Hatred in Anxious Times. We've come to these online discussions because we're all dealing with the lockdown with COVID-19 and the recovery phase afterwards, and we are living in anxious times. Ordinarily, we like to have face-to-face workshops looking at issues around violent extremism and why people are drawn to violent extremist groups. Increasingly, however, we've become aware that it's not just extremism that results to violence that's a problem in our societies. It's also extremism that begins with hatred. Most violent extremist movements have elements of hatred in them, but many expressions of hatred don't lead to direct violence and yet nevertheless cause immense pain and suffering and distort the fabric of our societies. In anxious times more than ever, there's a tendency for people to resort to scapegoating and to blame certain sections of society, certain individuals, people who are seen as being different, as being other, as being somehow less than human, and that in scapegoating these people, they can divert blame away from themselves. We're seeing even very prominent world leaders resorting to this, which is very sad. And in our societies, we're seeing underlying sectarian and communal tensions simmering to the surface. We're seeing, for example, in India, Muslims being blamed for the COVID-19 virus, which is awful, hateful, and makes no sense. So we'll be having a series of discussions over the next 4 weeks with experts who will walk us through relations between civil society organisations and government agencies, programs working at rehabilitation and reintegrating people back into mainstream society where they come out of a background of extremism, efforts to try and build tolerance and to build social cohesion, and a discussion around this topic of hatred and why intolerance and expressions of hatred, whether in speech or in actual hate crime incidents, lead to a problem with extremism and sometimes feed into violent extremism as well. This is a problem seen around the world. Certainly in Western democracies, we're seeing the rise of extreme right-wing ideas, often described as neo-Nazi, but having a whole collection of extremist ideologies. We see, as I mentioned, in India, Muslims being blamed by Hindutva extremists and scapegoated for things like the COVID-19 virus. We are living in anxious times. We don't know how long they'll last. We hope we're moving past the peak of the curve with COVID-19. We, of course, fear further waves. Realistically, we know we're going to spend months and years rebuilding the damage done to our societies, not least economically, but that has all sorts of social and cultural consequences. We want to be working together as best we can, a particular focus on extremism, but recognising that the best responses to extremism begin with building healthy societies where there's mutual respect, solid cohesion, and a sense of individual and collective resilience to be able to respond to terrible times like the ones we're experiencing, and to be equipped with how to help people counter hatred and extremism. Thank you.